It's episode 174 of the My365 podcast series, and I'm delighted it's that time of the month where we interview our member of the month, and our member of the month this month is Dawn Rowley. Amazing. I've really enjoyed watching her progress. She's also a professional person just like myself, but really has become an amazing example for herself. And this has been a great podcast. I'm actually obviously recording this afterwards, so I know what we've already talked about. So I just can't wait for you guys to listen. Check it out. Episode 174 of the My365 podcast series. Check it out. And remember, your future is unwritten and you have the power to change. So this is it, episode 174 of the My365 podcast series, and I'm delighted to have member of the month for January, Dawn Rowley. Rowley. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you so much for coming here today, and also for being our member of the month. I know I've already asked you this before we started filming, but when I called you and asked you, what do you remember thinking?
First, I felt quite honoured because I didn't really think I'd done enough to be member of the month. But then after that, I felt a little bit pressured.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I want to talk about, because when I do these interviews, because I don't know that much about you, I know what you do for a living, which we'll also discuss. I obviously know what you've achieved, or some of what you've achieved, but I don't really know what makes you tick. I don't really know what goes on behind the scenes, because we never really know what someone is thinking. But I found that very interesting when you said about the pressure to live up to what you have been presented.
Yeah.
But let's start off. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do? Where you're from?
So I'm a hypnotherapist. I work largely with people with anxiety and addictions. I live in Coventry, and I've got a daughter. She's 16, and I've been with my partner now for about 25 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and tell us a little bit about what you've achieved since joining My365.
So I began My365 last January, mid-January. I've lost 5 stone exactly.
Wow.
And I've become more confident in front of the camera. That wasn't something I was very good at. And I've become more confident in getting my business out there. Although I've still got some work to do on that, it has definitely improved. So,
yes.
Yeah.
So 5 stone, I think we're the only country in the world that does stone. What's 5 times 14? It's a lot of pounds, right?
Yeah.
What's 5 times 15?
It's about £70.
It's about £70. That's absolutely incredible, especially with what you do for a living, right? Because I would imagine there's nothing better than helping people personally, but it's also great to help people we're in the same profession, right?
Yeah.
Of helping people. Do you think that's one of the most significant changes that you've made, and in terms of really working on yourself, and what impact has that had on your work?
Yeah, I think you have to go first, because I sat back and I thought, well, I'm telling my clients to do one thing, I'm doing something different. And there was a bit of a feeling that I need to have control, and I think that knocks your confidence a bit. So that's what I wanted to work on. I realised that I need to go first and just show that what we do works, really. Yeah. And that it's all possible.
So tell me about some of the other changes that you've made. How did you lose the weight?
So I cancelled my gym membership when I started.
Cancelled?
I did, yeah. Because I haven't been for 2 years.
Yeah.
And I've been paying for it. And I thought, well, I'll start going out for a walk every day for 10 minutes. And then I started drinking a bit more water. And just slowly my diet just improved. And I think it was probably about 6 weeks into it that I woke up one morning and thought, I'm going to join the gym. And then along the time, my diet got much better. Cut out a lot of carbohydrates. I read up a bit about the diabetic diet, and I read a lot of the resources on the
weight loss
program. And I decided actually that was maybe why I wasn't losing weight. So I cut those down, and then I I did start losing weight. I came to a bit of a standstill again. And I thought, well, the only thing that I'm not doing right is I'm drinking too much. So the next thing was I'd done 3 months without drinking completely. And just, I've got a lot more control really around drinking. I don't drink anywhere near like I used to. And I make myself go out sometimes and not drink just for the hell of it, you know, just to remind myself that I've got more control.
Yeah.
And because really I think the alcohol was what was putting the weight on me, because my diet wasn't that bad in the first place.
Yes.
And you know, I'm getting older. I can't keep doing it.
Well, you made a comment which I thought was so fascinating about a guy. Tell me what this gentleman said to you about your drinking.
Yeah. So a friend of mine said to me, Dawn, he said, you're the best female drinker I know. He said, in fact, you're better than most men. And I remember thinking, oh, I'm not going to swear, but I was thinking, oh, is that what people think about me? And I just remember thinking that's not a title that I wanted to hold. And and I think, you know, I think that's what made me more aware really of what my own habits were in relation to when I was working with people, and just thinking really, you're not really, you're not walking the talk, you know. Yeah. So I remember thinking that's like an identity that I want to ship really.
So that to me is really interesting, because was there a time where you would have liked that identity?
Definitely, yeah. I think it's always been a bit of the culture that I've grown up in, that we drink, that's kind of, and doing things like knockbacks and, you know, shots and stuff like that. I haven't done them for a long time now, but when I was younger, that would definitely be the sort of thing we do.
So was that like the environment that you kind of grew as an adolescent, and it was like this drinking, and this is, and that would be, I can imagine, just like for a man, that label of, you know, look what I can do. I drink. I'm recognised. So I suppose you got recognition for being a good drinker. Yeah,
but in the past, because I suffer with social anxiety, it kind of served a bit of a purpose for me. So it helped relax me when I was out anyway. So I wouldn't really be that comfortable going out without having a drink. Yeah.
So now, what sort of identity do you want?
I just want the identity of somebody that's in control, you know, that's just looks after herself.
Yeah. And also professionally, you know, your identity with the person that you are becoming. Talk to me about that.
Because I work more and more really with people with issues around control and their habits, drinking, drug use, and overeating to some extent. Because I'm working more and more with that kind of client, you know, it's quite good, because I can kind of say, look, you know, we do slip off the wagon sometimes. You know, Saturday night, you know, I wasn't going to drink, and then I had a few drinks, and it kind of makes you a bit more real to the client. They kind of know that they're, you know, it's okay that we slip sometimes, and we just need to get ourselves back on track.
But also that power that you have in your ability to do something and then not do it again. I think there's so much power in that, isn't there?
Yeah.
Because
absolutely.
when it comes to alcoholism, it's there's so many different elements to it, isn't there?
Yeah.
I remember saying to Ronnie O'Sullivan, I don't think you're an alcoholic. And then he went on a bender for 3 months or something, because he questioned, maybe I'm not. Whereas for him, he seems like the sort of personality where he just shouldn't drink full stop.
Yeah.
But for you wouldn't have called yourself an alcoholic, right?
Oh no, I wasn't. No, I wouldn't say I was an alcoholic. Yeah. But I was drinking probably more than I should.
Yeah. I really love the idea of this whole identity. And what would you say to people? Because I know that's one of the things that we talk a lot about in coaching people. And you've obviously been with me for quite a long time now. How long? So over a year?
Just over a year.
Just over a year. And really focusing on, who do you aspire to be personally, professionally? What sort of impact has that had on you?
Well, I've always really been working on myself. I've been doing it for a long time because of the social anxiety, and I've kind of more or less got over that. But still, I find myself at times not feeling very confident, and you know, just in random situations, really, being in front of a camera is one of them. I don't feel very confident.
You're doing very well, by the way.
Yeah, presenting in front of people, that kind of thing.
So where do you think that social anxiety comes from? Where did you learn to... Because no one was born with social anxiety.
No, I just had a lot of, you know, things, you know, as a child that just weren't, you know, made me feel uncomfortable, I suppose, yeah.
So as a child, I'm not asking you to tell us what happened, but just in terms of how were you kind of thinking and feeling?
Just quite lost really as a child. So, and I grew up not thinking I was different, I suppose, yeah.
It's an interesting thing about when we feel lost, because I imagine we are then questioning, where are we?
Mm-hmm.
And then the next question is, who are we?
Well, I wasn't good enough. That was the
Yeah,
that
right.
was
So
the problem.
what if you're lost and you don't know who you are?
I was who I didn't want to be at that time.
Ah,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
So you were who you didn't want to be.
Yeah.
So who did you want? At what point did you start thinking, this is who I really want to be?
I think in my 20s, I knew you shouldn't really feel like that.
Yeah. Why? Was it something you read? Was it something you just woke up to the fact of this ain't right?
Well, it's just, I don't want to be like this anymore. It's kind of like there's kind of a bit of an awareness that actually, is it possible to change? And I think, that kind of set me off on a bit of a train of thought of self-help books, that kind of thing. And then I stopped smoking using hypnosis when I was 30, and that was like, boom, I couldn't believe that worked, because it was 60 cigarettes a day. And it was like, how can you be so dependent on something one moment and then not ever want it again?
Yeah.
And a lot of different things happened after that, because I gained quite a lot of confidence from that experience.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
That's also really interesting, isn't it? That
Yeah.
how you got so much confidence from that. And I suppose you realise how much we all get confident by doing what we say we're going to do. And sometimes all these little things.
It's like we put ourselves into a hole.
Yeah.
And we kind of decide that's how we're going to be. But we don't have to be like that. And it's not always easy to change, but it is possible.
And why do you think people do change? And what do people want to change? And that's a massive general, because you seem like the sort of person who's fairly strange in terms of, not just because you've been someone who's had social anxieties and worked on yourself, because you had enough, but it seems like you actually like self-improvement.
Oh yeah. I
Which
think
makes you pretty weird, right? Because so many people don't like self-improvement. I think you heard me say the other day on a broadcast, there's a guy who's very well known, this guy called Russell Brunson, and he was talking about how 2%, he reckons, of people are actually interested in improving themselves.
Yeah.
Just for, they like improving. Everyone else does things because they want something in return.
I think we don't improve because we don't think it's possible.
Yeah.
I don't think we think that we can be like that. So I think that's why we don't try. But I think sometimes, though, the anxiety that you feel can just build up so much. It can be such an uncomfortable feeling when you know that you're stuck. I think that's what gets people ultimately. It's a bit like a pain, isn't it? It's kind of like never goes away. It's always there nagging.
Yeah.
And I think that's what gets people moving forwards.
So the social anxiety that you had, how would you describe the difference between you at that point of just thinking, right, this is enough, I've had enough of this, to how you are now? Yeah,
I used to have problems like phoning friends, and I lost touch with a lot of people many years ago, and it's very isolating, because once you stop contacting people, eventually they'll stop contacting you. And you kind of just grow apart from people and become more withdrawn. Luckily my partner's very extrovert, so he's kind of always kind of G'd me up and that sort of thing. But at heart, I'm more confident now, but I am an introvert. I do like my own company.
Yeah.
And, sometimes I find it quite overwhelming being around a lot of people.
I think a lot of people do. And we often question that as if there must be something wrong with us. Well, often being around lots of people can be quite draining.
Yeah,
There's a lot of different thought and different energies. So look, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is because I've watched your progress, and you were someone who this was quite quiet in terms of just getting on with things, but clearly working on yourself, and then seeing massive transformation in your weight. And I remember you posted a video recently, and you posted another video which was from a year ago. Why did you do that? Because
I thought Sarah Jane had done it some time ago, and the difference, it was kind of, and I thought I'll look back and see how my videos are. And I think it's kind of, for people in the group, when they're joining, they're only seeing us as we are now, and they don't really see where we've come from. And I've watched so many people in Elite, for example. People like Jim.
Jim Morgan.
Yeah, and you just see like how much they've changed. It's just enormous over a year. The difference in somebody. And so I think that's why I did it really, just so that people could see, look, this is what it was like, and this is like less than a year ago, and this is how it is now.
So what's next for you?
So next,
what are you working on right now? Because you've been through this process. This is your second year.
Yeah, I mean, I want to keep up with everything I'm doing. I move a lot more. I used to do about 4,000 steps a day. I now do a minimum of 11,000 a day, and often quite a lot more. And I do a fair bit of exercise. I want to keep that up because I do need to move. I want to keep my weight where it should be. And I don't diet. I'm not, I had a sausage sandwich this morning. Don't tend to eat a lot of bread, but this morning I thought, well, I'm coming here. I'm going to have a sausage sandwich to set me on my way. I'm not rigid about food. I don't worry about it. I want alcohol to be the same. It's there, but I don't feel the need to have it.
Yeah.
But mainly it's get my business out there, get my message out to more people, letting people know what I do, so that ultimately I can help more people.
That's fantastic. So tell me a little bit about My365. How did you come across it in the first place? And I don't actually know, and I'm always curious.
Okay, so I saw it shared by a Facebook contact on their timeline, came up. I saw it broadcast a few times, and then I was looking for something, I didn't know whether it was some sort of coaching, and I came across it, and I just thought, I'm going to click and have a go, and there I was. The next thing, I'd just signed up for it, and then I saw the weight loss challenge, and I thought, well, I might as well do that as well. But I didn't really start that straight away, and it took me a little bit of time to bed in. There's a lot of content on there, and you're looking at a lot of other people's posts, and you don't really know where to start, and then just slowly over time, just all started clicking into place.
I think one of the things which is great about your journey is you've clearly found what works for you. Mm-hmm. My approach has always been, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'll share things with you, and ultimately you have to work out.
Yeah.
And what I love about what you've done, it's yours. It's your process. It's your way. And when people do that, they're much less likely to go back to what they were doing before, because they've developed something new over time. So give me an idea of kind of what you do every day with your My365 morning. How do you start the day? What sort of time do you get up?
Get up about 5:30, and then usually once I've fed the cats, because they don't let me out of the house, I take a walk, and I'll normally walk to the gym, maybe spend half an hour to an hour in the gym. I've not been doing a bit less in the gym of late, and then walking home again, and the walk's probably about 4k. If I don't have time to go to the gym, if I'm doing networking, which I now do sometimes, I do a 5k walk, and then I get myself ready for work, go into work, and depending on what time I've got clients, I normally do a bit of meditation, I do some little tapping routines, I do my journaling, I might listen to any podcasts, and I might have to fit them around clients.
And what does that do for you, kind of making sure that there are specific activities that are in place for you? What do you think that does?
Well, because it's like a routine now, I just do it all the time, and things like learning. So when I go out for my walk, or when I go to the gym, I listen to audiobooks or courses, so I can fit learning something new into my day as well, and kill two birds with one stone.
And what does learning do for you?
Well, learning helps with my business. So what I'm learning really will be things that I can apply to myself and to my clients. So learning different techniques, different ways of looking at things, different ways of working with people. And, it grows me because I'll practice things on myself, and then I'll practice them on my clients.
And what would you say is unique about My365 Elite?
I think with that My365 Elite, it's a very big community. So there's a lot of people from a lot of different backgrounds. I think with a lot of coaching, people think people are business owners. And obviously, yes, I am a business owner, but we've got people from all sorts of backgrounds. So it's it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter if you're a housewife or if you've got a high-flying job in the city, it doesn't really matter what it is you do for a living. You'll fit in the community because there are other people with similar goals.
And everyone's working on improving them themselves. So let's just finish off with talking about, two things. Let's talk a little bit more about what you do and how people can connect with you. But let's also just talk about the first thing, which was that pressure. Why do you think now that you have been, you're a member of the month, and what is it about that? What's going on inside you now?
Oh, well, this is, I think one of the things why MI365 works is because you show up, you say this is what you're going to do, and then you feel like you don't want to let people down.
Yeah.
Because you said you're going to do it, so get on with it. And I think when you told me I was going to be a member of the month, it was like, oh my God, now I've got to be perfect all the time.
Yeah.
And
isn't that interesting, that voice in your head telling you that?
I actually had a meltdown Saturday night with it, really. And I think it was, it's like I thought, I'm going to go to bed at 9:30. I'm going to have one gin and tonic. And then the next thing, it's 5 gin and tonics later and a few tipples. 2:30 in the morning, I've had to force myself to go to bed. And the next day, I was thinking, well, why have I done that? And then I thought, it's just ridiculous, really. I think it's just, all this pressure's just been building up, and it was, and I thought, there's no need for it, but...
What do you think that is, the rebel in you, or is it, feeling the pressure of having to...
I think it's because you want to stay safe, so you don't want to be called out. If you've said you're going to, if you say you're going to do something and you don't do it, people know, and I think you want to stay safe and stay in the background.
So what's the big learning for you about that, and how are you going to move forward positively?
Well, I know that I've got to work on that, and I know that my goals for this year, I've been really, really vague. I haven't put them down.
Yeah.
So I did put a little goal down yesterday in the group, but I need to be a bit bolder with that. So take action.
The coach in me can't not say what I'm about to say, and maybe this will be the biggest takeaway, which is, for me, I would be saying the biggest challenge about all of this is living up to the identity that you decide to create. I mean, other people might have an idea of who you are, but a lot of people have a brilliant identity with you, and so many of our members look up to you because of not just what you've achieved, but you're someone who is like, let's talk more action. Let's get on with this. And you've been a fantastic example. But I would say part of this, which is why this has happened, and thank you for sharing that with me, because that's the last thing I want, is you to have a meltdown. But I think it's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, create the identity and now live up to it.
Yeah.
Because you're an expert in what you do, because you're always looking to get better personally and professionally. So with your hypnosis, tell us how people can connect with you. Sleep now. No, I'm only joking.
They can find me via my website, dawnrowleyhypnotherapy.com. I mainly work with local people around Coventry area, and you might find me on Facebook as well.
So tell us about hypnosis. Because I remember someone saying, because I've also studied hypnosis, and I remember someone saying hypnosis is bad and it doesn't exist. And then I remember thinking, hang on, if something doesn't exist, it can't be bad or good.
It's a very odd thing. We can't decide what it is in the profession, but if you think that it's the trance state, really, whenever we feel anxious or whenever we lose control, or we go into a bit of a trance anyway, whenever we're fearful, we're in a bit of a trance, and we're just really just directing our attention.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think you think about it, we're hypnotized all the time. I love to say to big crowds of people, who here thinks they've never been hypnotized? And people put up their hands, and then I say, what do beans mean? And they'll go, Heinz. And you go, do beans really mean Heinz? A Mars a day, does it? Twix, that's the longer Bounty, you can eat that.
Yeah.
No, that's the Taste of Paradise. And Turkish Delight, that's full of Eastern promise.
Yeah.
Milky Way, in between meals, honestly, it doesn't. But we're all hypnotized, and I think hypnosis is such a powerful tool. And you've obviously got some amazing results for people, specifically people with addictive challenges, right?
Yeah.
Which can be some of the most challenging people to work with. What would you say to anybody out there that's considering looking at MI365 Elite?
I would say just do it. It's really good value for money. as coaching goes, it's cheap, and
Yeah.
and there's so many angles to it. So you've got a lot of resources there. There's a lot of people supporting you. It's a really safe place to open up about things. Just get on with it. Just do it. Just take some action. Yeah.
Well, I can't thank you enough because you are helping me fulfill, my big goal, which is to inspire millions of people. And I know you're inspired, and I know people are inspired who are around you. So thank you so much. I would love people's comments with this podcast. I'd love you to share it. I'll get those comments to Dawn. Feel free to follow Dawn, but not literally. But thank you so much. And join us next time for episode 175, I think, of the My365 podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you.